What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Neo the One, Lostcat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Henrik86, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Liam Nedrick, Dank, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohamed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Tina Baker, Alexander Main, and David Wayne Foster. So a massive shout out of thanks to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'm going to raise the mic on whoever the hell is in Discord, and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Unscrupulous.
Morning, Nathan.
Good morning,
Nathan.
Morning.
Morning, Nathan.
Hello.
See ya.
Don't let me interrupt.
I was gonna say, don't everybody stop talking now.
Well, yeah, we were talking about something you're not really interested in. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I don't think you'll care about some sort of a text chat disarmament agreement. At the after shows.
What happened? Oh, when we had a PhD come in yesterday. First, Sin talked to him, and then QE talked to him. The guy didn't do very good.
That's so.
Nice guy though. Pretty nice guy.
Well, that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you have technical challenges yesterday?
No, I went to a theme park with my family.
Oh, even better.
Sister gave us some free tickets to Chessington World of Adventure. So we're like, oh, great, free tickets. Of course, it pissed down with rain, of course.
Of course. Yeah, I think Flatsoid is going to join us today. He finally got a phone that works.
Yeah, I've seen him for a while. He does keep in touch, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he's just posted the Master B yesterday. Hey, I finally got my smartphone or whatever phone he got, and no show. So the day you go to the theme park, his phone works.
He was here yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday, but I think he'll be on today. So I need to, you there, Nathan?
I am.
Okay, I need to make a correction on something I said on, I believe, Monday's show that you aired Tuesday. I attributed a wrong number to something about Andrew Thomas Young. It's 1.22 miles and 1.32 miles when they do the refraction one. And I said 3.42 or something. So I got that confused with the distance at a 1 foot observer height with or without refraction, still well in front of the first oil platform, which is 6 miles out. So the actual numbers he gives is 1.22 and then 1.32.
I did pick up on it on the time when you said it, but it didn't matter because it was.
I know.
We're so familiar with the numbers that we're detailing about the Black Swan that when there's a a number used for the distance to horizon at 1 point whatever feet above the ground or above the ocean, and you quote that for the distance that you'd calculate by 1.22. Who cares?
Well, it's just the way I am. If I catch me saying something wrong or a mistake, I have to I have to confess it, so I have to say it just to make it clear. That way it can't be said that I didn't correct it.
Fair enough. It is corrected.
Thank you. Oh, for three people. For three people.
Hey, Flatsoid, we were just talking about you.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh,
Hey, buddy.
Finally, I can join a live stream.
Yay. Good,
Yeah.
good
Been a
to have
while,
you
eh?
back, buddy.
Can you hear me? Sounding okay?
No, not at all. We're in the middle of a conversation with you. Of course we can hear you.
Good to have you back, buddy.
Oh, it's good to be here. Been a while.
So catch us up. What's going on in Africa with you, South Africa?
Same old. Struggling with reception. Just working. Been busy the last few months, that's all.
Your new job working out good?
Yeah, doing actually very good. Enjoying it a lot. Yeah.
Very good.
Still do the same thing. You spray cars, right?
Yeah. At least, yeah, all I need to do is just climb in a booth and spray. I don't have to do anything else. And I get like 3 times my salary at my last place.
Oh, wow. Well worth moving then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered why you moved. Now I know.
And the bush is beautiful, so I can't moan.
Yeah, you're out in the sticks, right?
Yeah, in between mountains and stuff. Saving up for a nice telescope and camera that can start doing nice observations.
Well, you sound happy enough. I mean, I remember you telling us about this before you actually moved and detailing what you were going to be moving to, etc.
Yeah. So you got your equipment sorted?
No. Things keep breaking. So on Sunday, it's not important for the show because I don't use it for the show, but the amp that runs the centre channel happened to go bang after doing a GoFundMe to fix the 3-channel that was already in repair, the mono that had blown, and the PC that had blown, and the fridge that had blown, all after buying a subwoofer, leaving me a little bit in debt because I purchased it incorrectly. So what I did was I arranged to have PayPal credit because they're offering it all over the place. I'm like, oh, why not? I happen to have something I want to purchase and don't have the money for, so it'd be sensible to put it on PayPal credit and have 4 months to spread the payment. Wonderful. I go to pay for it, it just takes it straight out of my account. And I'm like, ah, you bastard! Stupid eBay. So I bought the second-hand item and just ended up overdrawn. I'm like, oh, God! Not that I wasn't overdrawn anyway, I just didn't know that at that particular time. But there we go. Anyway, enough about me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, everything breaks at the same time.
All that matters is the 2 amps I do use to actually run the show. Those are both working, so I can actually hear my guests. The most critical bit is functional, as is the PC, which is all that matters. And I can have a cold drink. So, happy days.
Still grinding your coffee?
Yeah, exactly. I can make a cup of coffee. I've got milk that's cold and not off.
Yeah, 10. I was listening to that show you on Emma's the other day with Sean.
Oh,
Just that guy's a clown, eh?
no, that's an old show. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm listening to a lot of old shows lately. Got to catch up.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it anything. I stopped them from all the fallacies and begging the question. He didn't like it.
Yeah, but that's all he's got. Play foul.
Yeah. Hey, Chocolate put a piece up by Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about
the weight of gas.
Yes. Can't wait till he comes on. So
Neil deGrasse Tyson coming on. Happy days.
yeah, so he put out on one of his channels the weight of gas. So Chocolate posted it, and I can't wait to hear what Chocolate's got to say.
Oh, what Chocolate's got to say. Oh, disappointment ensues.
Well, I mean, it's his post that he put up, so he has first go at it.
I think Neil deGrasse will be too scared to come on here.
Oh, yeah, he's going to stay away. So it's got to be all choreographed, have the right questions, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know, if he doesn't have a script, then he's in the water.
They got him good because
but not one the fluids, right?
Yeah, they got Tyson good. One time there was an off the script Twitter comment that what is gravity? I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember him saying that.
But the I don't know bit is still on script, believe it or not. That's part of their rhetoric to say they don't really know what it is at all. That their high priests say that. So although he's disguised that as the magician he is as an off the hand comment, that's actually part of their rebuttal. If it ever came to it and you were discussing it with it, that their get out of jail is, well, we don't really know what it is. It's very mysterious. All right, but you and yet you're asserting it as a not actual force that you can think of as a force that makes gas go down, go boom boom with weight, right?
Where'd he go?
Who?
The guy you were talking to.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I thought you were making a statement, not a question.
The end of that statement required a dramatic pause. I thank you, Crit.
Oh, every time. I see. Even when I try to comply, the show must go on.
You see, we're not Globers. We do keep quiet when needed.
Yeah, I love to listen. It's not my show. I'm just here because I enjoy it.
Oh, so you don't talk over people when they're trying to explain things? It's amazing.
What a novel idea.
One thing I have to say is beautiful, yeah, is the stars at night. There's no lights and stuff. It's pitch black.
Yeah, I've experienced that. It's a sight to behold. My folks used to live in a part of Britain that had the lowest light pollution in the whole country, and it was spectacular. But there were nights when there was no moon where you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. There was no light at all, so you couldn't see anything. Yeah. But the stars were absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, the Milky Way is awesome. I must say, the moon I see usually about 10, 10:30 in the morning every day about here.
Do you have, what kind of camera do you have, Flatwood?
No, I'm saving up for a camera. Just got my new phone at least.
Okay, well, when you get the P900, are you considering that?
I was more looking at the Fujifilm, but yeah, the P900, I saw one on special for a good price.
Or just a camera that can do star trails. It'd be lovely to see from where you are, all directions, you're doing star trails, so we can match it up to what we're doing up here.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I'm also planning on getting a telescope, so.
Yeah, it's easy on the P900. You just go to this program scene mode and pick star trails, 150 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, excuse me. And make sure it's on a steady tripod and click a button. 2.5 hours later, you get 10 seconds worth of star trails. Beautiful.
What do you need it for? What do you need the scope for? Camera, fair enough. Obviously, it's got videoing equipment built in, so you can film stuff. But as for the telescope, when my folks lived up in Shropshire, I did have a telescope, and I frequently took it up there, and the experience wasn't really that great. It's a telescope, but having nothing, just literally, if you like, lying on your back and just looking up and letting your eyes adjust, that, on the other hand, is an experience. So for me, forget the telescope. It's just not worth it. Plus, if you want to look at something specific, just go to Take Back Space TV, or Chris D's channel, basically, on YouTube. But Take Back Space TV's got all of the top-end equipment, 4K capture, really nice telescope, remote-controlled. And from the chat, if you want to look at something specific, admittedly it's not in the southern hemisphere, but nevertheless, you can say, "Can you show me this?" And it'll just go straight to it. He's got the muscle memory.
No, I don't want to use the telescope for the night sky, though. I want to use it for an experiment. Well, a demonstration. I want to do.
Easy now. Yeah, no, fair enough.
I want to use different apertures and scopes with the same distance so you can see the difference.
Genius. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm jumping the gun and assuming what you wanted to do with the telescope. But yeah, as for, great. If you're really good at it like Chris D, take back Space TV, I'll plug him a few more times, then wonderful, you'll get a lot out of it. But it takes a long time to get to that stage.
Yeah, he's got awesome content.
He does a wonderful show, Nathan. I subscribed to his channel, and I can't get near what that guy does, and it's beautiful.
Oh, it just put me to shame. When I first discovered him, I had a telescope sitting in exactly the spot I'm actually sat in right now, so it could point straight out the window. And, I was reasonably au fait with it. I could use it. I knew what I was doing. But by the same token, you go to his channel at the time, he was in 1080p, and it was 80% as good as the resolution I could get through my telescope. Then he went to 4K. I'm like, what's the point in having this? Because I could just go in his chat, Chris, can you show me this? And he'd be like, bzz, there you go. He'd just be straight on it. And you just think, well, why would I ever want to sit here fiddling and faffing for, 5 or 10 minutes per observation I want to make, when he can do it in a fraction of a second? You can just move across to it and get better resolution than I can through YouTube. So it's like, what's the point?
And it's cheaper.
Yeah, and it's absolutely free. He does a live stream, and you can just ask him to put the camera on whatever you like in the night sky. So long as he can see it, he'll put it on it for you. He's very accommodating. He plays his own music that he's produced himself while he's doing the stream, so there's something to listen to while he's having a look at stuff. Focuses mainly on the moon. But yeah, it's just, like I say, from that day to this, I took the telescope to the mother-in-law's to never come back. Occasionally she'll say, do you still want this? And I'm like, yeah! Do I want my telescope? Of course I do. do you want to take it to where you live and where you might use it? No, I don't have space for it, I'm sorry. Can you keep it in your loft?
Well, maybe they put it on eBay and that's the one Flatzoid's buying. You never know.
Yeah, it's like they're hinting at whether or not I'm actually going to go and say, I need to use that now for an observation. A couple of times I've hinted at Anthony, I like, just take my telescope up to St. Bees, but it's never actually come to fruition. But like you say, I'll phone him up one day. I need to come and get the telescope. Oh, I don't know where that is. It's gone somewhere. I'm pretty sure they won't sell it. The in-laws sell it. Yeah, like I say, that's the only application I can now think of for that particular piece of equipment. If it was an observation at the horizon that happened to need a bigger aperture in excess of a P1000 for the sake of argument, then yeah, here's my telescope.
Yeah, I was looking at a video from Early Mage this morning. He's a guy from, I think he's from Paris. Made a 128 kilometer observation. Really quite cool.
Wow.
Yeah, 128 kilometers. Straight.
$80 miles, basically.
Yeah. I mean, what would you see on that on a globe?
I hate that question. I hate it. Now let's beg the question and say what we should or shouldn't see. Based on maths that's inside profile, with you seeing your own head, and a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon blocking the view of stuff in the distance. What should we see based on those begging the question fallacies? I don't know. You tell me, Fatzoid.
I blame Sesame Street. Damn Muppets.
You blame who? I heard Muppets.
Yeah, Sesame Street.
Yeah. Hello, who's that?
It's Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, how are things?
Very, very well.
Is my headphones come through okay?
Clear as crystal.
That's grand. I just have a new pair, that's all.
Very nice.
How are things? How's everything? Everyone?
Yeah, wonderful.
Good.
Went and rode the merry-go-round and the sailing ships yesterday. And it was torrential thunder and rain while we were doing so.
Did you experience merry-go-round based Coriolis?
Yeah, absolutely. Filmed it too.
Nice.
Excellent.
Sat with my little baby on my lap. experiencing things that are stationary, taking a not actual deflected path. Hey, Adam. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon, guys.
Good morning, Adam.
Are you back from holiday, or are you on holiday currently? Are you calling us from somewhere nice?
Yeah, calling you from Italy, mate. Just sat with my moves out again, enjoying the sun.
Is Italy...
Needed your guys' help a little bit.
Oh yeah, you've been arrested again.
I've been doing a bit of twatter whilst sat in the sun. Yeah, I've just been on the Twitter and just trying to get some guys to formulate balls in a shed. So after hours of badgering them, I've posted in Ballbusters what they've done. So I don't know if when John turns up, he could get the pink letters out and formulate it for him on the show. It'd be handy for me to then post in Twitter as a link, because Twitter's impossible to respond in a coherent way in 200 characters. Do you know what I mean? So if you could have a look at that, it'll give me a giggle if nothing else.
Yeah, okay. I happen to know what you want me to post this, what you've put in Skype, yeah? You want me to put it on screen?
Yeah, if you could stick it on screen, and when John comes, if he could get the pink letters out and just try and formulate that shambles for him. I just want him to...
Can you read it, or is that not possible while you're on the call?
I'm only on my phone, so I can't multitask. Proper man.
Okay, well, I'll leave it waiting in the wings. I'm about to start live in about 60 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. How are you anyway, Nathan? Your PC fixed and everything now, are you?
I'm
to normal.
60% there with things being fixed, but enough to have the show running without any issues whatsoever. So, you know, the fact that my wife can't watch movies and things like that, it's not really of anyone's concern, but other than those sorts of things that are still unrepaired, yeah, everything I need for the show is fixed, which is great.
Nathan, a happy wife, a happy life.
Have I watched what?
A happy wife, a happy life, remember? Give her a movies.
I can't quite hear what you're saying. Say that once more.
He said, a happy life, a happy wife. Give her the movies.
I'll chase the repair guy immediately.
Very good comeback.
Let's just get a GoFundMe going.
I did. I already have. That's already happened.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, the Adam Meakin, Brian's Logic, Flatzoid, Chocolate Sane, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all. Wrong button. There we go.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Good morning, good evening.
Good morning, good evening. Good morning, hello. I'm more than happy for today's show to not necessarily take a massive flat earth direction, for reasons I'll explain at the end of the show. But we'll just still do housekeeping, so we'll hopefully rattle our way through housekeeping and then have a more general conversation. So let's start with housekeeping. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
I need Adam's help on this one. Not from Italy, right, Adam?
Certainly not here, mate. Flat. I went up the mountains. It's all flat. It's all flat. So no, not unless you're looking for one that's not visible.
Looking for. Sorry, hold on. Looking for one that's not visible. How does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. But I slipped into semi-bolt-hard mode there for a second. So
it's an oxymoron. You can't look for something that you can't see.
But if I can't see it, and then I could put an X on a graph or on a diagram.
You could look for it. You're just not going to find it.
Hold on. Let's hear more about this diagram.
Well, if I was to draw a picture of what I thought reality was and then tried to reify it, but couldn't then match up my observations of reality with my picture, I could always put an imaginary point that I can't see on something.
This picture would
just
be representative.
To keep my face together.
But the picture itself, the diagram, is it going to be representative of what you're seeing, or for the sake of argument, would it include you in the image?
Well, it'll probably include me in the image. It won't be reflective of anything viewed. It'll just be a reflection of my religious beliefs.
So you're going to compare your religious beliefs to something you can't see.
Go
on, Brian.
Sorry, Adam, are you saying that you would expect to see it?
Yeah, it should be there, shouldn't it, according to my picture?
Let's be more specific. What's it? What's it? What are we talking about?
The horizon that you can't see.
The horizon that is the horizon that is Earth curve, right? That's what it is. That's what we're talking about when we say it cannot be seen. Earth curve, eh? Go on, Flatsoid. Go, Flatsoid, go. Or maybe not. Let's move on. Any signs of
Nathan.
Go.
Sorry.
Is everybody is everybody on Discord off mute? I've been told everyone's still on mute.
I've hustled them all off mute as far as I was concerned. There's a couple maybe. I'll take them off now. Anybody who's on mute, my bad. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No. Wouldn't you first need a sphere for that to happen?
Yeah, you would, yeah. No assuming it either. What about the distance to the sun? Arwin? Hey, Arwin, by the way.
I've actually got an answer on that then, in there. Because I'm in Italy today, it's definitely looks closer than it does when I'm in Nottingham.
Looks
atmospheric refraction.
Looks closer.
Trigonometry, trick some people.
Hey, you've been getting is that Tommy? You've been getting
that's right, yeah.
I've been
How you doing, Nathan?
told by several people to go and watch your debate with Conspiracy Cats, and the reason I've been told to go and watch it is because of you. So you've had nothing but high praise from a lot of people who are telling me, in no uncertain terms, watch that discussion because Tommy hands Conspiracy Cats his ass. So I'm told. I don't know if that's true.
I made him sweat a lot, and he said your name about 1,000 times. He was like, Nathan, because the arguments that from your show that I've learned over the time, been listening in, I've been hearing. I understand the concepts and the things, the points that you're trying to make, but people are just too busy focused on, you and discrediting you and saying that you shout over people, etc. But it is very frustrating to try and teach people, especially Globers that don't listen. And I've been one of them myself. I've come in very hot and continuously, shouting and screaming and not listening. So we're all guilty of this. But yeah, I took the contents of what your argument and I brought it to Conspiracy Cats, and it shook him up really bad. He was sweating, he was jumping all over the place, he was using all debate tactics. He was too busy trying to discredit me. He was going on at me about, how does this work in a dome? When the question really is, I've come on the show to learn how these make sense on a globe, and he failed to. He said that he would absolutely demonstrate it, and he didn't demonstrate it, Nathan. He couldn't demonstrate how you have gas pressure without a container, and he couldn't. He asserted that gravity was a force, and that was his proof. That was his basic his example. He said, "I can explain. I will explain it." And the explanation was, "You don't believe gravity. Well, gravity requires a belief. It requires one." So he doesn't realize how badly I beat him. But I didn't rub it in his face or nothing like that, and I did, kept it civil. But your arguments, they hold water, and they are, they are your arguments from the show, and you guys have been looked upon as just flat earthers that don't know nothing. But I think you're onto something, because even a physics teacher had to struggle with the words that are brought to him, and the concepts and the ideas and the understanding. It's something, you know what I mean? Otherwise, it would have been easily proven, which he couldn't do.
Well, surprisingly, that was specifically what was pointed out to me. Hey, Sleeping Warrior, how you doing? You're right, Nathan.
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry, I was just watching the last bits of what's this Conspiracy Captain Broomy. It was really good. Anyway, carry on, Nathan.
I was saying the specific bit that I was pointed out, Tommy, was that he had alluded to answering the question about how you can have gas pressure without a container on several occasions as a sort of obfuscation. Well, I'll come back to that in a moment, and he never did. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. He at one point he opened the window. He said, "If I open my windows in my house and I leave my door open, the air's kind of free, and I can just test the PSI in there like an imaginary board in front of him." And he didn't get the point that I was trying to make. I was like, well, how do you have gas pressure in the first place? The whole world, it must be contained for you to test the pressure in your room. I know the windows are open, and I know he's trying to create this scenario where this gas is free and he can test it with this tool. But the point went completely over his head. You have gas pressure because it's contained in the first place. Do you know what I mean? And it just went completely over his head. But his audience,
I've got to correct you. A couple of assumptions you're making that aren't strictly true. Number one, you're assuming that he doesn't get it. I'll just give you a couple of Conspiracy Cats quotes. "Without the container, there can be no pressure." End quote. That's Conspiracy Cats 2019. Also 2019. "Without the balloon, there is no pressure." End quote. That's also Conspiracy Cats. So he definitely does get this. That's the first thing, just to correct you. The second thing is, don't think that it's not affecting him, because it is. If you want to see how much it's affecting him, go and listen to his interview with Haunted House. That's the name of the channel, Haunted House with Conspiracy Cats. And you'll see exactly how much he's affected by it. Now, admittedly, you have to read between the lines to a certain extent, because he's projecting out how it must be in terms of cognition if you were to accept that you had been lied to. So he's kind of talking in the third person, but it doesn't take much reading between the lines to appreciate that that's his feelings and thoughts. So, yeah, go check it out.
Nathan, can I just play two small clips? Can I just play two small 10-second clips, Nathan, about what Conspiracy Cat said?
Yes, go ahead.
Just bear with me one sec while this comes through.
Right, because I know
Yeah, keep chatting.
This is him basically saying that we're going to come back to the gravity point and the gas pressure point in a minute, and if I don't, you can call me a liar. So this is him saying it.
He's diving into, but then
not coming through.
We are going to get
not coming through. Hello, it's not coming through. Only you can hear it.
Why is it not coming through? Let me just see which one it's coming through.
Very soft. Get to it. You can take the clip.
No, I don't know why that's not coming through. It should be. Oh, I'll read to you what he says. He says, and I think we're going to get to you, and I promise you before we leave this show, and if I don't get to it, you can take the clip and you can put me out as a liar all over the internet. I will answer the question about gas pressure without a container. I can guarantee it, but let's not skip over some stuff from, the things that you mentioned before. So he's promising that he will address it, right? He never goes back to it. And this is how he gets out of the gas pressure. This is how he tactically gets out of addressing the gas pressure point. He says, and I quote, "I could climb up to the top of Mount Everest and I could get a different pressure, and there isn't one. And I can't see the container. And the simple reason is everything that you are saying boils down to the fact that you must not believe in gravity. That's what it boils down to. You must not believe in gravity." Now, when he's promised he'll go back to it, and if he doesn't go back to it, he can call me a liar all over the internet, and then doesn't go back to it, and then says that, and then gets out of it by claiming that he doesn't believe in gravity. He's actually admitting, aside from the fact that he's not going back to it, he's admitting that gravity is a belief. He's admitting it, literally telling you that it's a belief. Right, sorry, carry on, Jen.
He's contradicting himself, though, Tony, isn't he? Because he's sorry, Chocks.
No, go ahead, man.
I was just because he's contradicting in even if you allow him gravity does not affect gas behavior. So it's a fundamental mismatch of his own science. He's still having to bastardize his own accepted science in terms of gas behavior to believe.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the tactical escape route that he took, rather than addressing where you get the gas pressure from in the first place, he basically pinned on, and at no point did he say gravity, right? There was no mention of gravity from Tommy, but he said that you basically don't believe in gravity. Now, that's a red herring argument. He didn't bring it up. It's a strawman argument. He didn't bring it up. It's a distraction tactic away from addressing how you have the gas pressure in the first place, which was the main point Tommy was asking. And he said, if I don't come back to it, you can write all over the internet that I'm a liar. Well, conspiracy cats, you are a liar because you didn't address it. You never went back to it. You weaseled out of it by redefining or re-explaining a point about gravity that was not brought up and that you spoon-fed him because you couldn't address it, which is the reason why you can't come on this show and you can't face the likes of Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser, because you're stuck. You can't answer that question. But that's why it's pinned on you. I'm done.
Did you hear the other tactic that he used? Right?
But I heard Boltzmann.
Wasn't what?
Yes, Nathan. He brought up Boltzmann's equation, and Tommy handled it perfectly.
What did you say?
I told him it was calculation. Calculation isn't causation, and then he just kind of like, you went, what do you mean it's not cause? I goes, well, you're calculating something, but that's not exactly, saying that's causing the atmospheric pressure. That's just a calculation. That's like me just guessing a few things and putting it together, like an estimation. By definition,
I thought
it's
that
not
was
really
a great response from you, Tommy. That I heard a bit, mate. In your words, I thought you were pretty hench there. The way you dealt with that was class, mate.
Get hench, get this.
Anybody remember the other tactic that he was using when at some point he tried to say, "Oh, so now we agree that the correct question to ask is not why we have gas pressure without a container. Why do we have pressurized gas?"
Yeah, right? I still haven't worked out what the difference is. Anybody know the difference?
There isn't a difference. Yep. There is no difference. Pressurized gas at pressure, it's the same thing.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I said both of them are going to need containing, though. That's not still avoiding the question. You just rephrase it to make it sound like
that's all right. I can rephrase the question. I can rephrase the question. Show me pressurized gas without a container.
That's what I was thinking when he said that. I'm like,
pressurized gas sounds like liquid water or something. Like
it was such a tactic because then he was trying to say, "Oh, so now we agree," like literally putting that in Tommy's mouth. Those words. That, oh, now we agree that the correct question is how do we have pressurized gas without a container as opposed to how do we have gas pressure?
Yeah, well, how do we?
Like, bro.
So what, by reiterating the question and paraphrasing it slightly back to the person who's actually phrased it to him, he thinks that's a rebuttal. So essentially, just change a couple of words and repeat the question back to your opponent. Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, so, okay, how do we have pressurized gas without a container then? Yeah, well, maybe you could answer it, given that that's the basis of your religion.
What I would suggest he spent so much time pointing that out, and it didn't even answer that question. All right, so you're saying that that's not the right question. This is the right question, but you didn't answer any of the questions.
Let's just give the audience here a quick answer, though. So, how can you have gas pressure without a container? You can't. It stands in violation of the second law of thermodynamics. Without the container, there can be no pressure. End quote, conspiracy cats.
And we've got a demonstration that demonstrates that you can't have gas pressure without a container on the channel Hillbilly Blue Balls, otherwise known as Blue Marble Science, where he dishonestly labels the video gas pressure without a container, but he demonstrates that you need the container up the side of your house to get the butane pressure in the device that he's using to measure the pressure, because he can't do it without the container. Now it was Tommy. You did absolutely brilliantly, mate. To be honest, brilliant. The only thing that you didn't quite nail him on, and it's a little criticism, and I don't mean it with malice. You didn't explain the biogeochemical cycle to him well enough.
He didn't explain the biogeochemical cycle. Get out!
I was just trying to like Tommy as well.
And it's only a little niggle. It wasn't a big deal, mate. He did everything spot on, mate. And
Not a big deal?
For it.
I'll stop the act. Sorry. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
Oh, and by the way, guys,
I think
for the elder people that'll know this, do you remember Harry Enfield?
I think it was like, go away, Brummy.
Harry Enfield is a comic in England. He's quite crass and quite rude, but he used to make a living out of taking the piss out of people. So, like, Scousers got a scene. Harry Enfield's Scousers. They were all wearing Liverpool tops and going around wearing black wigs, going hey, and it was funny. But Gem Panda tried to imitate Harry Enfield by calling him "I'm considerably richer than you," which was the Brummy scene. And Brummy didn't get it, but I understood it. And Gem Panda was basically trying to demoralize and belittle him based on Harry Enfield, rather than address the points that he brought up in the debate with Conspiracy Cats. I mean, that was the other tactical thing that he did. He tried to discredit the argument by reference to Nathan Oakley. How many times did he say Nathan Oakley? Yeah. It's like he's got
a million times. I watched it in 5 minutes, and within 5 minutes, he said Nathan's name like 15 times. I was like, holy shit. Nathan is living rent-free in this guy's head.
That's nice to know. Nice to know, Chocolate. So I'm living rent-free in Conspiracy Cat's head, eh?
Hell yeah. You have a penthouse in that guy's head, man. It's ridiculous.
But I try to take that out of the equation. I says, look, in the day, regardless if you like the person or not, or you agree with their debate tactics or not, I says the argument and the truth is what I'm getting at, and this is why I've brought these arguments to the table, because I've been listening to them, and they have brought some good questions that do make logical sense. That's why I've asked them. That's why I brought it to the table, and I didn't get sufficient answers. I got drawings. He put a load of graphics up on the screen and explained all these complicated maths. But I try to explain the fact that these abstract explanations about reality is not reality. And when I look at like curvature, for example, and then I get a drawing, I don't see any curvature, but on the drawing, when it's showing me how horizons work, there's a massive fucking curve in it, and I'm thinking to myself, well, where's that? Because I don't see that in reality. So why are we putting this curve in this drawing? No, you read this drawing and understand this drawing, and this will explain your reality. And it's the same thing he was doing with, gravity, about like how he holds the atmosphere down. He put some fucking drawings up with some circles and some, like, mate, you're presupposing the ball in this drawing for a start. I don't see a ball or experience a ball. And now you're trying to prove gravity by using these drawings with balls in. So it's just like, he doesn't realise that flat earthers they're not rejecting evidence. They're rejecting abstract examples of reality that don't comport with what we experience. So they take it as,
I thought he promised you a demonstration.
What was funny there, he was saying, we're not here to embarrass each other now, Tom, Brummy. He was like, we're trying to just have a conversation, because you were completely embarrassing him. Like, every question you were asking, he was like, just diverting. So it was classic, that was. I mean,
I'd maybe, as Tony says, I'd maybe just turn it back to him and go, I'm considerably more scientifically astute than you are. Yeah, and just, if they're going to do that, mate, throw the Brummy back at them and just point it out. It's nothing to do with richness, but understanding of the scientific method is what you're very rich in now.
Tommy, I thought he promised you a demonstration of gas pressure without a container.
Yeah, we covered that. Brian. Yes, absolutely. He did promise him, from what I understand, a demonstration. It's been highlighted to me. Anthony's mentioned it. Yeah, he promised he would give an explanation for gas pressure without a container, and he didn't. Just obfuscated the point, said he'd come back to it and didn't. Said you could call him a liar if he didn't.
I thought, sorry, 1 second, Anthony. I thought he said demonstration. I thought he was going to promise him a demonstration.
No, I think he did, yeah.
I think he did say explanation. Then later on,
do you want Conspiracy Cats to demonstrate it right here, right now, live on the camera, like that? You remember when he
yeah.
What
we do want him to do is he tried to get me to imagine some imaginary ball, like imaginary space in front of him.
Hold on. Sorry, what's the issue? Why did you ask that, Chemo?
Because I'm thinking, well, that's not difficult, is it, to demonstrate gas pressure without a container? You would get the gas, you would get the container, you would say, here's the gas, and here's no container. It's not hard. What I mean is, like, easy to show.
The point is that he shouldn't have had to demonstrate it right there live on his live stream, right? It should have been demonstrated already.
Yes, that's what it. So basically, the other guy, Peaky Blinder or whatever his name is, he said, "Are you expecting him to demonstrate gas pressure without a container right now in his man cave, otherwise known as bedroom or whatever it was he was in?" And the answer to that one is no, but I do expect you to cite something similar to the Cavendish experiment. So at least we've got something to talk about, but they can't do it. So because they can't do it, they've got to say, well, it's unreasonable for you to expect me to demonstrate this right now.
Perfect.
No,
That's
but it's not unreasonable for you to cite it. So show us.
Yeah, that's where I'll jump in. So as a comparative example, yeah, you have Thunderfoot pouring bouncy balls into a fish tank and saying it's a quote-unquote demonstration of gas pressure without a container. Number one, fuckwit of the year, craziest demonstration you could have. Now, is it reasonable for us to say, well, we can disprove that? Well, yeah, we can, because there's been demonstrations of how entropy works with a description and a practical example with bromine, and we can just throw that up on screen. Now, is that us doing that? Can I in any way achieve a vacuum here in, as you put it, my man cave, which it isn't? No, I can't. I haven't got the equipment to do it. Thunderfoot coincidentally has, though. He can achieve a vacuum. He did it in the video that he keeps strawmanning me with, right? Well, I can show a practical demonstration of gas pressure requiring containment and filling a vacuum as we lay down the debunk for the globe Earth claim that we've got a sky vacuum. That can be shown at a pinch, right, Chocolate? You've done it on multiple occasions. So no, we're not asking him to do it in his man cave. But if you could achieve gas pressure without a container beyond a fundamentalist religious assertion that the sky is a vacuum, you'd just show it. You'd have loads of demonstrations. They'd be all over the place.
Yeah, that's my point.
I have to disagree there. No, I do expect him to show it in his man cave and everywhere else. I expect it to be something that I can do at home in the room I'm in now. That's what I expect. Because if it's happening all the time to all the gas, hang on, Chemo, if it's happening at all the time to all the gas in all the atmosphere, then it should be able to, and it's that simple, and it's just happening, then it should be able to show it. I'm able to show a vacuum with a straw in a glass. So no, I can't speak for everyone else. That's what I expect, and that's what I have to show.
Fair enough. To some standard, by the same example, you could achieve a vacuum without too much difficulty or expense. It's not exactly a massive task. So what you're saying, Brian, is, well, no. If you're going to make these claims publicly on this platform, YouTube, then, yeah, you've got to back your bullshit. Do it in your man cave. Go and create a vacuum or gas pressure without a container, which is what you're being asked for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then I can show gas pressure with a container.
Exactly.
In a man cave.
But, yeah, they shouldn't say it unless they can demonstrate it, Nathan. That's the point. So,
well, they said
and that's what pissed me off the most, because he's giving that idiot, I don't know what his name is, but he's giving Tommy this attitude like, oh, you expect him to just prove it and demonstrate it right here, right now in his man cave. And it's like, bro, isn't that your argument?
Yeah,
isn't that what you guys think is reality? Why hasn't it been demonstrated already?
If it's reality, you should be able to demonstrate it without a problem.
Exactly.
And not even if you can't demonstrate it in your man cave, at least when they cite the Cavendish experiment, right? If you've never heard of it, you can describe it. If you've seen it working, or you can bring it up on screen and show a demonstration of it supposed to be working, there's at least an experiment that they can cite, wrongly, of course, that gravity seems to attract mass. So we want the equivalent, and there isn't anything. The only thing that they can demonstrate is that you need a container to get the gas pressure.
See, but that's a beautiful tactic that he used.
Show us where you've seen this, so we can see what you've seen, and then we can obviously repeat if possible, or
I pointed out that we can demonstrate, great gradients in containers, and I give a good explanation of why we have a gradient in a container. You push so far on how does this work in a flat Earth model, and just to take him away from defending what's purported about the globe. Now, look, I'm becoming a flat earther because I've got so much wrong with the globe. Now, you ain't giving me the answers, and I can see why people are going to the flat Earth, because you're literally saying that you can't demonstrate it or prove it anyway. And I must believe that this force that has been best described by Einstein, that it's just an effect, is now a force that's stopping these particles expanding into the atmosphere. So I mean into space. So I'm getting confused, because the stuff that you're telling me is inconsistent with the people that have come up with these theories of gravity. So I'm kind of losing you know, this is why I'm losing faith in it, because it does take a belief to believe in this gravity. And now with this relative density argument, you know, we are invoking gravity. We are invoking other external forces to the things that we see. There may just be a uniform rate that things drop at, but that don't mean there's a force, and yet it's a gravity in this, you know, that's causing that and that's stopping these. Did
he actually bring up gravity at any point?
He said it was a force.
Of course he did. Don't be absurd. Of course he did.
Hmm?
Of course he did. That was his main rebuttal. Just on a slightly different topic, over the last few months, Tommy, we've asserted, albeit speculatively, that the reason some of our opponents refuse to concede is because, should they concede, they would receive the most horrendous ridicule from their own side. If they conceded, for example, you can't have gas pressure without a container, even though it stands totally in line with natural law. Nevertheless, is that actually the case, given that you are in a very unique position to actually detail this to a public that would be interested?
I'm going to get the last bit, meaning like he could have basically explained it there and then, and that would have been the end of it, but he couldn't.
No,
so,
my question is, have you received, as I speculate, horrendous ridicule for making concessions?
Yes, Zen Panda server, you know, it's been that bad. I left the server. I joined back last night, and yet again, it's just screaming and shouting, and you're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. You was always a flat earther anyway. You know, you never knew the globe anyway, and it's like, what the hell? Like when I was arguing for the globe, I never got any of that. No one was. I made a few corrections here and there. Yeah, a few people did jump in and go, "No, that's not quite right for me," and correcting me slightly. That was cool. That's what, you know. None of us are all flawed. We all got flaws. None of us are perfect. And sometimes people, like now, they literally misunderstand everything I say, you know, twist everything I'm trying to mean. It's obvious what I'm saying and what I mean, but they don't want to get it now. All of a sudden, they don't want to understand. They just want to ridicule and mischaracterize and misrepresent what I'm saying. It's just, it's not even a conversation.
Welcome to our world.
It's a weird situation.
That's all they got at the end of the day is to ridicule.
That's correct. That is all they've got. But it's a weird welcome in that respect, Tommy. Because obviously, I don't want to say it in a vindictive way. Well, welcome to our world, because obviously you fought for the ball here. But by the same token, I want to illustrate to the public that is really all they've got. You preferred, I think it was Sleeping Warrior and Flats, or both just say it. But that really is all they've got. So the high level of disdain and cognitive dissonance isn't what you'll actually experience from them. They're not umming and ahhing and chewing their thumbs off to answer your questions. They're just calling you an idiot. Now that's really all they've got when you come to the point that you've got these questions that leave anybody who's rational going, these answers aren't stacking up. And when you point that out, you get told you're an idiot. Yeah. Well, that's why our opponents here, and I'm only going to say this because you've backed it up now, that is the reason. If you were to ever concede that the points of contention simply don't make sense in your fundamentalist religious worldview, that you're on a sphere in a vacuum, you're going to get ridiculed. That's really all you've got to keep you in this faith of heliocentrism. It's pretty pathetic, and it's pretty tenuous.
Yeah, it's social rejection as well, and it's also you know, social, like it's peer pressure. You know what I mean? Because as soon as I started questioning things, you could feel the peer pressure rising. Then you can feel the attacks coming. Oh, he's just faking it. Oh, he's doing it for attention. Oh, he's doing it because of he's having a midlife crisis. Oh, he's doing it because of this and that. Every single reason they pulled out the bag, like everything was now available for a possibility.
Midlife crisis. How old are you?
These arguments don't make sense to me. That's the only thing that needed to be addressed.
How old are you? You said midlife crisis. Why would that be a claim?
You know what I mean? But he's not old enough to realise the Harry Enfield gag.
You're not happy to loads of money.
What it is as well, over in the other server with where Brummy goes, is because Brummy's showing this excitement, because it's just like finding something out for the first time. It's like, oh, do you know about this and do you know about that? And they're all like, oh gosh, calm down. You know, don't bring this like this. The last thing they want is a new excited flat earther who's just going to start going through all the arguments, and that's probably why they're attacking.
I guess so, but some people are nasty, and some people there's been a few people that've been quite, you know, tolerable and all right, and you know they may not agree, but they're just not nasty, and that's what I've been getting a lot of. Like people just like I've become like their whole enemy for the last however long they've been in this debate. It's like I've become the worst enemy, and it's like this is ridiculous. Like guys, I laugh and joke with you for the last 3 years.
Stabbed them in the back now.
You are
you've become a traitor to them because you've decided to accept the world as it presents itself to you. Because that was my favorite part that you told conspiracy shits, right? That we are just people that accept the world as to what it presents itself to us as. That is all. We don't have to look at graphs and diagrams and all this nonsense to try to explain the world when we experience it the same way. We don't have
but Chocolate, he's become a heretic, mate. So you've got to understand their response. He's now a heretic.
You see this happens if you leave a cult, then you're gonna obviously be the bad guy.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, it's good to have a strong individual, because I think that's the problem with a lot of people. They're probably not as strong as individuals, and they don't take criticism well. And people are so scared to concede points, and so afraid of looking intellectually weak. But the way I look at life is that you can be a fool for 5 minutes by asking a question you don't know. But if you don't ask the question you don't know, you'll be a fool forever. So if you always keep your mouth shut and never ask the questions that you have doubts on, you'll all be a fool forever. But if you do ask the questions, you'll be a fool for 5 minutes. And now, I'm a fool for 5 minutes because I'm coming to realise that not even physics teachers can really verbalise or explain with some detail that you have in a gas pressure without a container.
This is music to my ears, because I feel exactly the same way. It's slightly embarrassing to have not recognised these things, or not asked the right questions, or not done the right research, and that's on me, right? So you're saying, well, it's you that's the fool for 5 minutes, but Flatsoid and I are obviously on exactly the same wavelength, because he was just he just took the conversation where I was hoping to go when I was asking you about the ridicule you received. So now do you, or is this a shock, recognise that what you're actually departing from is a cult, the Globe cult?
Yeah. I remember when I used to come in and argue with you and Arwin and Quantum, and I used to scream, shout, do all the same, the spiraling that I see now. I see a lot of spiraling from Globers, and I was one of them, because I just expect you to understand my bullshit. I expect you to understand my bullshit. So when you wasn't accepting it, I would just get more frustrated, and I'd think, just say it this way, if I say it this way, he might get it, and I'm not listening to you. And you're saying to me, I remember watching back the videos, and you're saying, just calm down a minute, just listen to the questions, just answer the questions. But it feels like, when you're in that position, it just feels like you're trying to take control of me, and you're trying to, embarrass me and everything. So you're emotionally attached to what you're trying to teach, and you're just jumping around. But it's not about you as an individual. This is about what's true and what's not true. So your opinions on what you think is true is irrelevant. And once you realise that, the quantum arrays and also helped me a lot with that, because when I went to go through his questioning, it seems very restrictive. It seems very unreasonable. But that's how it's got to be, really, because people will bring their bullshit into a debate where it has no place in a debate. It has no place. This is about what's true and what's not true, not what you believe, or it's about what you can prove, what you can't prove, not what you think. You know what I mean? So you guys are doing a great job, and I just wanted to thank you for continuing to do your efforts. And it's 3 years ago is when I first came in, and I've done a lot of growing as a person since then. And that's why I'm able to come. Everything. If you guys never carried on your journey and done what you've done, these arguments may not have got to the level that they're at now. They may not, and I think they're viable, very viable, and they need to be training on improving.
Tommy, can I just blow a bit of smack? You said that there, and so I think I speak for a few of the other panel members to watch your journey. Realistically, makes the abuse, the crap we put up with, worthwhile. If we can get through to somebody who was entrenched as you were, for you to come out the other side speaking so coherently, not professing anything, but just applying the scientific method and saying, yeah, you're not measuring up to this. It's heartwarming to hear, mate, to be honest with you. And I look forward to a couple more years of abuse to maybe get a few more other minds open to reality.
I guess so.
It's a ray of hope.
Yeah. The worst words I ever heard was "Welcome to Flat Earth" when I was talking to Mary Mum and a few of us from there, because they were explaining certain things that were going. If I show you a contradiction of the globe with the curvature and the geometric horizon, would you accept it? And I absolutely would. And any honest person should look at these things that they're bringing to attention to and have an independent, unbiased view of what they're saying. Take your personal feelings, your emotions, your experience out of the equation. Take it for what it is, and make your assessment on that. Now, science is supposed to welcome critique. So when we critique it, why we're getting called idiots? It's supposed to encourage that. So when I actually critique what's supposed to be taught, I'm getting called all names. This is a red flag. So anybody that tries to attack you for asking questions about the globe, you have to think twice. You have to think, isn't that what the globe's supposed to encourage?
No. You taught it in comprehensive school. You're supposed to comprehend it, not question it.
There we go. Yeah.
I think you are.
Well, that was one of the points he said, wasn't it? All the universities are all in competition with each other, essentially, because it's essentially like a business. Yeah, I'll try mentioning that to Eric Dollard and his research on the sun, and then let us know how that went down with regards to what he discovered and how that was received by the scientific community. The guy was essentially kicked out and vomited out like he was some kind of dog dirt. Yeah, welcome to science.
I still didn't get. Maybe it's too early to ask you, Tommy, but one of the things that to me is it raises a wry smile is the recognition of the cult that the majority of the Western world are in. Maybe, like I say, it's too early to get that sort of, that maybe it hasn't sunk in yet for you, what you've just departed from, because you sort of talked about your internal expression of not internalizing it, but nevertheless, to me, that's the most interesting part of this whole thing, and that's why it gives me joy. I know Adam's, I'm not going to say speak for yourself, because it is true, nobody likes ridicule, but at the same token, I love what I do every day, and yeah, an element of that is ridicule, not because I'm a masochist, but because it gives me an opportunity to communicate the information with a challenge in place, right? Well, that's wonderful, I love that, that's what I do, right? But by the same token, it's fascinating to look back, you know, from the other side of the fence and go, oh my God, 99% of the Western world are in a mass cult, and they'll defend it with venom, and it's just amazing to me. Like I say, maybe that'll sink in at a later stage.
Yeah, maybe. You know, it is literally the battle again, an uphill battle for you guys, and you know, you guys are continue to make them changes and continue to search for the truth. And,
no, stop, no. Speak to Spurs if you're going to talk in those tones. I'm not here to convert anybody. When you left, did I chase you and chase you and tell you that you needed to be a flat earther? No, I didn't. You came in, we had our discussion, you left unconverted. I didn't then go, right, that Tommy guy, I need to follow up on that. I don't give a crap. Leave. Believe whatever the hell you like, right? And I'm not interested in converting people. Now, Spurs is here, so he can speak for himself. He's a flat earth evangelist. I am not. And there's many other people on the panel that I think will agree with me more than Spurs. Sorry, Spurs. Throw you under the bus. You're here, though.
Not me. I don't care either. You believe it or you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for everyone to believe what they want to believe, and I think that I just still feel that people should not just reject what someone's saying just because they're a quote unquote flat earther, or have views that contradict what is apparently accepted by the consensus. I think that everything should be science is for us all. It's not just for people in white coats.
Tommy, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, Anthony. 1 second. Just a very quick question. Tommy, do you feel freer? Do you feel like there's a weight off your shoulders now that you're not trying to believe in something that you can't prove?
Do I feel freer?
Liberated.
I definitely feel like I've the only change I slightly do feel is like my whole life I've been seeing things like the sun and the moon, and I've just accepted that the sun was 93 million miles away without question. Now I feel like I've been just ignoring my actual senses, and I feel like I'm more in touch with reality. I'm more in touch with that. I have to just trust what I see and, believe in what I can experience. Don't just discard them, because I've been told basically or conditioned to think that my senses are no good. You know what I mean? Not to really believe in my senses. And that's kind of mind-numbing if you think about it.
Okay, just do a quick shout out to Unitox Femi, who says, Bruni collecting money for a Nikon. Smash the help. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Tommy, you said you were 80-20. What?
Yeah.
Talk about that 20%.
That 20%. Yeah, it's the 20% is obviously it's a lot of indoctrination, and for me to just go one to the other completely, that would be unnatural. For me, I'm an open book. I'm honest. I have certain things that claw me and keep their claws. Them claws were deep into me, So it's going to take them time for the scars to heal, and it's going to take time for me to fully let go of what I've held on dearly so tight. And what's always been. It's like having a bad relationship with a girl. You may have split up on bad terms, and you may have found out she was lying to you and all that, but there's still feelings there. There's still stuff that will take time to process. And obviously, I'm aware that I'm still quite ignorant, and there's still stuff I need to learn on both sides of the argument. And that will come in time. There's no rush.
Man, those are music to my ears. So far you've said it's me that's fooled and I'm ignorant. Man, you couldn't be saying better things. Just shout out to Helvetica Bold, more of a typeface than a screen name. Brilliant. Thank you very much for the super chat, though. Really do appreciate the support, Helvetica Bold. The problem isn't when it's a relationship and it's more love. It's sort of chemical based, if you will. I'm probably going to get crap for that. Anyway, it's different to hardwiring about your paradigm, about the world you live in. So there's certain phraseologies that you'll find you just slip into, certain terminologies about things that you'll describe, common vernacular, that is globe-based. And you'll just do it without even considering it. So and you'll notice it too. That's something from experience that takes a fair while to shed, because suddenly you start noticing subliminal messaging everywhere in the form of globe programming, pictures of spheres, the ideas of space being perpetuated through outlets, and the general public who are completely unaware that they're perpetrating any sort of deception. You know, they're completely ignorant of it, but they're still using that vernacular that you're also currently wired with. And it does take a long time to unwire those whatever you call them in a brain term, synaptic connections. You know, they take a long time to destroy. So to give you an analogy, if you're constantly bombarded with the idea of space, the sky vacuum, and planets, physical bodies, that idea is cemented in your brain like a bridge. I've used this analogy a couple of times. So if you've got a first idea of something happening or doing something, in cognitive terms, it's like throwing a rope across a ravine and very tentatively climbing across that rope as it's hanging by a grappling hook. But then when you throw the rope back again, you've got two ropes, it's a bit more stable. And the more times you throw the rope over the ravine, eventually you've got to the point where you've got a bridge and it's very stable and not very scary at all, and you can do it without even thinking about it. You just walk across the bridge like it's not even there.
Yeah.
Well, that's programming in terms of the cognition that you have for the spherical idea and for the space idea and for the curvature idea and for all the terminologies that go along with it. Some of them aren't even necessarily referencing a globe, but you'll just speak in a gravitational terminology one day and go, holy shit, I'm doing it without even thinking about it. And it's because it's so thoroughly hardwired. So that takes ages to shed. Even me now, I still do it, you know, and everyone on the panels, we're all guilty of it. You know, as it's related, you know, we've got Flatsoid earlier talking about doing an experiment with his telescope. I'm like, whoa, easy now.
I think the globe rovers are not 100% themselves anyway. I mean, you can ask Mr. Scott, you can ask a lot of they're not 100%. I think the atheist, like a hardcore atheist, is 100% in his mind that it's a globe. So I think a lot of the globe earthers that we speak to, I think they're kind of 50-50 on whether it's a globe or not. And I think the other half is just like what Tommy's describing, this psychological ridicule and that goes along with it. Yeah, so I don't think anyone is 100% that we're on a globe. And I think they just need to, you know, being able to withstand the ridicule that comes with it if they want to reduce.
And I do. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to elaborate as well. I love that Nathan's analogy about the rope, because it's literally at first it's, you know, you're quite unshaky, and as you know, you continue to build the strength of this bridge. Eventually, you walk across it blindfolded backwards. You know what I mean? You know, but really, it's built on conditioning. So yeah, I guess it does take time to unravel. And Chemo, you are absolutely right. I think there is a lot of people out there that they don't understand it. Like, they always project. I think it's the people that always tell me that I don't understand, because I do demonstrate that I have, you know, a grasp of the ideas at the very least. They can never take away that I have a grasp of the ideas that are being conveyed. Now, the people always speak in a different sort of terminology and use different sorts of words, and it can go over a lot of people's heads. And a lot of people just nod because it sounds like the other person knows what because they say it with conviction. But doesn't mean that the concepts of what they're saying is actually true. So I hear that a lot within the globe community. Like, people will say something because they say it with authority and they say it with confidence, that people will just go, yeah, and then they'll brush off the conversation and continue. Where really, I don't think they're digesting the information. And when I pull them up and go, hang on, you know, you just don't understand, you don't understand. Well, I do understand. That's why I'm objecting. You know what I mean? But the people in the room may not fully understand, but they'll just back the person that said it with conviction, and then just focus on and just attack me for saying I don't understand, when really they're projecting that they don't understand. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, they don't want to stand up for themselves because they don't want to ridicule.
A perfect example of that, Tommy, is the fact that your debate with Conspiracy Cats, you can recognize that he never answered your question, right? A year ago, had you had this same type of debate, you would say, yeah, he answered the question like 5 times, right? But this time, now that you're listening with different ears, now you can realize that he didn't answer the question. He actually used tactics to get away from it numerous times.
Quick, sorry to cut you off there, Chocolate. Quick shout out to Unisox Femi, who says, how gravity regulates centrifugal force. Don't know the reference to, but thank you very much indeed for the super chat, Unisox Femi. Sorry, Chocolate, go ahead.
You're right, Chocolate.
Pretty much done.
He was sweating. He was actually sweating from your questions, Nathan. You know, your questions was making him sweat. They weren't my questions, you know.
They're not my questions.
And doubts that you're
They're actually full credit to Quantum Eraser. These aren't my questions. So while we had a vague idea what we wanted to ask, when the housekeeping questions were formulated in the most concise way that they currently stand, 90% of that was Quantum Eraser. Original questions by Quantum Eraser. So how can you have gas pressure without a container? As that's the most specific argument that you had with him. That's a Quantum Eraser question, not mine.
Okay. I mean, full credit to him as well, but I guess your show has brought that to light. You know, and you guys, you know, Sleeping Warrior, you know, when you guys have been doing this for years now, and if you guys weren't here, you know, continuing this search for truth, then them questions would never have got to my ears, and I would have never have been able to ask them, you know, to conspiracy couch.
That's absolutely something I will take credit for. So the fact that, you know, Adam Meakin, Sleeping Warrior, Flatsoid, Chocolate Saiyan, Brian, Arwin, 10th Man, all of the panel members are here beating this drum daily. That is the reason why it's got through to people like yourself. And the other thing I was going to mention was Nielsen ratings. If anybody's familiar with Nielsen ratings, it's where you get a TV box and it counts you as about 10,000 people. In other words, you are representative of a certain number of people in terms of your viewing habits. That's how Nielsen ratings work. Well, that, if you translate it over to you, you are directly representative of a certain other number of other people who are identical to you in terms of how you have processed this information, Tommy. So the fact that you've come forward, as you have, means there is a number of other people just like you who are going through the exact same thing in the exact same way as a direct result of this show. So, you know, the props that you've just given to all the panel is well deserved by the panel for beating the drum over and over again. I can't take credit. I can't do this on my own daily. You know, there's not enough words, you know. But as a discussion, it's beating the same drum. People are like, oh, it's repetitive. Oh, it's the same show again. It's like, well, yeah. We're not going to get any responses from the heliocentric model in terms of how you can have gas pressure without a container. Without the container, there can be no pressure. End quote, Conspiracy Cats, 2019. So these are worthy points, considering that 99% of the world is under the misapprehension through brainwashing and programming that they're on a sphere in a vacuum. They're not. You can't have gas pressure without a container. The gas would fill the space. Conspiracy Cats knows it. It causes him to lose sleep. Check out Haunted House's interview if you want to hear him say it.
Well, he had another tactic, which was to personalize the argument. So if you brought up a particular argument and he goes, oh, that's just a quantum eraser point, he does that to try and poison the well, in the sense that if you can pin it against somebody rather than address the point in hand, then he takes that as a win, because he doesn't want it to be something he has to answer. He wants the audience to think that quantum eraser is A, B, or C. And that's his get out. He wants to pin it against someone. That's not how to win a debate. That's why he lost.
Yeah, it's just character assassination, but it was indirect character assassination. He's assassinating the characters of the people who you've gotten those questions from, or you've learned those questions from, Tommy. That's all it is. Character assassination.
Yeah, and they follow logical sense, you know what I mean? You know, pressurized systems or pressure will always escape to low pressure. You know, hot will always go to cold. He wants to even get me on like quoting the second law of dynamics. There's a big massive meaning in that. Sorry, you're talking at the same time. There is a big massive meaning in that. So I could read out the definition, but the crux of the actual the bottom line is that's what we're talking about. Why is this pressurized system that we're in not escaping to the available vacuum? Let's just talk on a level like normal. But he just wants to go, oh, you haven't got a vast experience. You don't know what you're talking about. That's why you don't know. But you do know. So just tell me. And you start talking about fucking all sorts of shit, but you're not really explaining nothing. And I'm demonstrating that I can understand concepts. If you're a good teacher and you know that this is true, then just demonstrate it, or at least give us something tangible to chew on, rather than gravity is a force. Because it's just not sitting well.
What I got for your reasons is I know that a lot of people.
He's got a position. He's got a position to hold.
Hold on.
So he has to try
hold on,
and
just one
sound
sec.
clever.
Hold on, Platsoid. Go ahead, Chocolate. I know you've been trying to get a word in.
No, I mean, Tommy actually said it at the end. I was going to say he, at the same time that he's discrediting Nathan and Quantum Eraser, he's insulting you by saying, well, just because, you've heard these questions and you're bringing them here and you don't have a full understanding of them because, you're not as smart as us, pretty much, and insulting you at the same time. And I'm like, wow, bro, but you're still not answering the question. That's the whole problem. You're not getting it, man.
It looks like only satellites and pictures of fucking graphical pictures.
And then you could see it on his face every time you brought it back to that point. He would scramble again. You could see it in his face, like it was like, oh, he's bringing it back again and again.
But he only got me on the show, right? He only got me on the show, I think, right? Because he must have heard me in Gem Panda server talking about gas pressure, and I didn't really know anything at that point. It was about, and I said to him, when I got invited to the show, I said, look, I'll come on next week. So I spent a week to just do a bit of research and just get into it. You know what I mean? So I've got something to bring to the table. But what I brought to the table was more than he thought that I'll be able to deliver. So it really was like, oh shit, like this is, and he scrambled all over the place because he underestimated me, I think. You know what I mean? They wanted to get me on there to humiliate me as some transitional glober that didn't really understand, anything, which I do. I'm not a stupid person.
It was basically a show like, this is what's going to happen to you if you're a staunch glober and you're going to try to start asking questions to us. Right? You're going to start going the flat earth direction. This is what's going to happen to you. That's what that show seemed like to me.
They're always the right to not able to go.
Hold on one sec. Adam. Hold on. Adam. Can you pop yourself on mute?
Yeah. Sorry about it yet. Sorry, guys.
Destroyed the last 10 minutes of the show. Hold on, everyone. Hold on. Chris, you've been trying to get a word in for a while. And then Flat
thank you. So reasons I think I would like to talk with you about how important other flat earthers and other avenues, like they say 24/7. How important was that Discord server to helping you kind of see some of these answers and get other opinions? Because a lot just one quick, because a lot of times they do this cult of personality. They'll like over here, they'll attack 24/7. Now 24/7, they attack over here. They try to separate the community into bits and pieces that they can single out for destruction, instead of just letting the flat earth community be a non-echo chamber that invites all people.
I think both sides, in effect, are kind of slightly guilty of being not cultish, but I guess kind of kind of groupy sort of thing. But it's difficult because this happens naturally. I think when you've got opposing views and people, are trying to communicate their opposing views, you're going to get conflict, because you're going to have two resisting. If you're having two things that resist and you try to bring them together, they'll just repel. And when you repel, obviously they'll separate. And when they separate, they're in their own sorts of domains. But and obviously when you try to bring another one into that domain, then there's more force to push that out. It kind of makes sense. And I'm trying to use fucking magnetism to explain this, but it makes sense. That's what would happen. But I think with the difference with the flat Earth and the 24/7 is that I came in there all guns blazing, screaming and shouting, not listening. And I think the difference is with the flat Earth side, they are restrictive. They will mute you quicker. They will send you into cognitive. They won't tolerate screaming and shouting. They just want to get to the bottom of the argument. They want to bring it down a level, listen to each other, exchange information, and we'll get to the truth. But when you believe in the globe, it literally is just you're right because you're a glober, and these guys don't know what they're on about. I'm coming to teach them. There's an arrogance there. You think you're doing the right thing because you're trying to show them that how could they be demonstrably wrong? How could they get all this wrong? How could all the people in the world get this wrong? Hopefully I can just say something and help them realize it. So you feel like you're coming in with a righteousness also. So when you go into that, when you start spiraling and you start saying all them things, you start screaming and shouting, you think you're being muted because or censored because you're telling the truth, when really it's not. It's because you're not really having a conversation. You know what I mean? But you think that you are, but you're not. Do you get what I mean? So that's probably the best way I can explain it.
Did you have a question, Flatsoid? Hey, QE, by the way. Good to have you.
We just won't let them chant.
No, sorry, I already said what I needed to.
Okay, no worries.
I do have one point to make out.
Go ahead,
one of the
Stephen,
things that Kat said was that when he was describing the biogeochemical cycle being the reason why we have the gradient, he said, "There's," and I quote, "there's no scientific evidence that any of that's true," but he teaches that to kids. So there is scientific evidence that the biogeochemical cycle is the reason why the gradient's there, and he's just said that just to make his audience think that there's no truth in it. But if anybody just types in Google biogeochemical cycle and then click images, everything then becomes apparent of what's actually going on. And it's a collection of cycles that's grouped together with a collective name. It's not just one. But the guy openly lied to everybody. He knows this. He teaches children this stuff. He knows that the biogeochemical cycle is absolutely the reason why there's a gradient. He's just lying to people. I was shocked when he said that. John's going to have a coronary when he hears that.
Who's he? Be specific. Hold on. Who's he? Be specific.
He being
Conspiracy
John.
cats.
When Quantum Eraser hears that Conspiracy Cats said that there was no scientific evidence for the biogeochemical cycle being the cause of the gradient, I thought John's going to have kittens when he hears that.
I didn't really care much about that. The other parts were funny, where he said it wasn't a semantic argument, but I only caught pieces of this. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. He said that pressurized doesn't mean pressure. That's really good conspiracy gets, you dumbass cracker. And your Boltzmann distribution. Can you show a Boltzmann distribution lowering entropy in nature? Fucktard.
Okay, as the language gets
Yeah,
more blue.
yeah,
Hold on one sec.
Yesterday, man.
Okay, right. I'm going to do one last shout out to Alexander, who says, "This is the 21st century. If there is an ongoing debate regarding if Earth is a ball at present time, then Ball Earth has a big problem." I agree. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, Alexander. And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
And sometimes when I try to tell people stuff and they just don't listen to me, then I think to myself, well, why should I listen to you? And I feel like she did do that, and we exercised both opinions. She said, would you take it in as globe denial proof? And I took it in, and it does seem a contradiction. They just proposed the radius thing, the refraction, or whatever it's looming, and therefore it fixes the problem. I think the cognitive dissonance, I didn't really get to go on that, but that was good because when I got put in cog dis, I was like, why am I here? And it's because it's time to reflect on the way that you're treating people when you go in there and screaming and shouting.
So she explains things very well.
Tommy, you know the way you're talking about that. Sorry, do you know the way you're talking about that 20% thing earlier that Chemo mentioned, how you're 80-20? And Chemo was saying that there's other people out there who are probably like you, who are probably wanting to maybe explore the other side a bit more, but they're a bit scared. I think over 5 years now ago, I became a flat earther. And I really had learned nothing about science. The thing that I knew about science up to then was that every 5 years they change what they reckon is a fact. So every 5 years, science says something is a fact today, and then 5 years later, it was saying something else is a fact. Now I know that's only pseudoscience. But the point I'm making is that when I first looked at flat Earth, it took me 8 seconds to switch. And what switched me was 8 seconds, yeah. I don't know if anyone ever went as fast. 8 seconds. And what switched me was the fact that water doesn't bend. Water doesn't curve. Yeah, waves, whatever, grand. But water doesn't conform to the outside, the shout out Del. Water doesn't conform to the outside of a shape.
Shout out
so after that, it didn't really matter. Everything else came together. I learned what I needed to learn after that.
Yeah.
I didn't need anything else because I knew it cannot be a globe because water says so, if you know what I mean.
I'd like it if I had the same sort of...
says it cannot be.
If I had the same... I mean, I have commitment issues anyways, like in relationships or anything. I think in life with commitment, I'm a bit of a commitment phobe. Maybe it's part of my character.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to convert you or anything like that. I'm just saying, for me, I started off with just that.
I understand. I'm about to go into that now. I'm saying, like, you did say something that was quite... You said you had no scientific sort of background, whereas me, I've been in science books since I was 12. I've been reading, about the planets, and I've been obsessed with space, and I've been obsessed with that stuff my whole life. I've been asking myself the question, what is life? What are we here for? Blah, blah, blah. The usual questions. And for me, I'm quite cemented in that. What would, it being a globe and, everything that we see in the sky means that it's all relative to how we're on Earth, and we're spinning around because we see summer here, and everything. I've been matching this stuff up in my head for years, so it's been quite cemented into me. So I feel like maybe you never had much to let go of. Do you know what I mean? But I also don't think.
You heard what you said, right?
Good point.
You heard what you said, though, right? You were in the books, because that's where this nonsense exists, in the books. In the movies, in the textbooks, and the encyclopedias on the internet. Once you decided to accept how Earth presents itself to you, like your own experience, all of that shit is a wrap, bro. Trust, if you have accepted the way the Earth presents itself to you, you're already a flat earther. There's nothing, there's no equation, there's no graph, there's no diagram that's going to take your life experience away from you. It's a wrap for that.
Yeah, but
you're right, Tommy.
It's just that
I had a lot less to let go of. 1 second. I had a lot less to let go of. But what happened was that I accepted straight away. It was because I accepted water does not conform to the outside of a shape. I accepted that. And then all the other things that I had denied that I had saw on from airplanes and everything else, all the questions I had asked that I pushed down, all those things, I didn't push them down anymore. So once I accepted that this one particular thing is an absolute physical impossibility on a globe, after that, yeah, I had less to let go of, but at the same time, once I accepted that one thing that does not and cannot physically work on a globe and can only be flat, once I accepted that, then everything else was easy. For you, I understand you have more to let go of. Okay. I get that.
I mean, I respect the fact that you're able to do that. I kind of envy in a way that you're able to just go see something, boom, there you go, mine's made up. I've in my world that's always been a possibility that the water appearing to be flat, and that's been. But like, I made that analogy on the show about traveling over 8 hours of water. When I've gone around the world in planes, I've never experienced any fucking curvature, and that's one of the things that's pushed me away a lot because when I think about my senses, I'm just like. But when I think about my senses also, something that can look level and straight isn't level and straight. So I know that my senses are like not 100% reliable. I can't build a straight wall while using my senses. I need tools. So sometimes I know to trust in my senses, but I also know that there's a flaw within my senses. So it's a battle for me to commit to something when I know it's kind of slightly forward is a problem for me. But I'm on a more comfortable side, being 80-20, and I guess as I do more research and I do more stuff, I'll prove it to myself categorically one day, and then I'll be like, right, that's fucking. I've seen it with my own eyes now. This is absolutely impossible. But the stuff that they're telling me has let me go away from all the stuff that I actually held to be true and argued passionately that was true. You know what I mean?
Tommy, what you're saying is that. It's a great step. It's what flat earthers, when you get it, you need to. And it's called becoming autodidactic. I'll just read you the definition of autodidacticism. Or self-education is education without the guidance of masters or institutions. Yeah. And that's the most important thing. Instead of believing what you're being told, you actually go and you read and you research and you come to your own conclusions from the facts. And
that's what I need to do, yeah.
Once you're on that journey, they can't batter you anymore. They can't touch you anymore with their stories, their fantasies.
Yeah, because I've confirmed it for myself, and that's what I need to do ultimately. I've been trying to devise something that will set me straight, that will, once I go out there and test something or do something that will be conclusive for me. You know what I mean? But I've experienced things like watching the sun set and the sun in Thailand when I watched the sun cast shadows at the bottom of clouds and stuff, and I thought that was geometrically impossible. But there could be other reasons for that I need to explore. So there is certain things hooking me back in and holding me slightly in. But I do need something concrete for myself. So for a start, I need to figure out what is it exactly that's going to give me 100%, and then go and explore that.
What I like doing is doing demonstrations. If you do a demonstration, then you know it's feasible. If you can't demonstrate the claim, then how do you know it's feasible?
Yeah, that's where conspiracy cats fail to realise. When I asked him for a demonstration, I didn't ask him for an explanation and some fucking graphs and some numbers on it. I asked him for a demonstration and I never got one because you can't demonstrate gas pressure without a container. So, if anything, it requires a belief in gravity to make it even feasible.
Do you realise and do you accept that because he hasn't got any demonstration or experiment to support his assertions, he needs something, and he's hoping that you're going to accept that alternative that he offered you rather than demand the thing that you asked? Now, if it was the other way around and he was asking you for a definition and you started giving him maths, like he did it with you, he asked you what do you understand pressure is, and then you said basically PSI, and he said no, that's like saying miles per hour is speed. Well, that is speed, but if he was being very precise with what he wanted from you, and he wasn't letting you go until you give him exactly what he wanted, well, he didn't give you what you asked for, and he was hoping that you would just accept an alternative as an explanation, and obviously you didn't, and it was brilliant to listen to. It was probably one of the highlights of the year for me.
A lot of the Globers, people that know what they're looking for, saw what they wanted, saw what they needed to see out of it. And I wanted to answer the question. What started me off was talking to Scott Veach about the sun and the moon looking the same size, because my senses tell me they're the same size, and I said, don't you think it a bit weird that the sun's like just coincidentally 400 times further and bigger? And he was like, oh, no, it's not a coincidence. You're going to get some coincidence in life, the way things all work and the nature of the world. And I thought to myself, like, that ain't really honest, is it? Like, come on, that is a bit of a coincidence. So, like, what? Ain't you you're in the slightly suspicious about what you've been told about the distance of the sun? No, you can use trigonometry, and I'm thinking, am I talking to the wrong person here? I know, but I'm thinking, I'm actually talking to a person that's actually looking at the world. So that's what started me off, because I started thinking, well, let's look into it. Why do I believe it's 93 million miles away? Then that was it. Then I started actually looking at it, and then it all spiraled out. Everything just comes like, whoa, fucking hell! I don't see any curvature. I don't actually see any. I just told it's there. I've never seen it.
That's that feeling. Am I talking to a person or a robot? I've asked myself that so many times talking to these Globers, man. It's hilarious.
Just give me time. That's all I can say. It might be frustrating to hear for somebody that's making a transition and hasn't fully committed. It might be frustrating because it should be so intuitively obvious. And I guess you guys, it was easy for you, but I'm just gonna go at my own pace in my own person and just go and I just need. The main thing is what I've took from this conversation is to find something and go and prove for myself, so that therefore independently nobody can tell me nothing different, because what I've seen is conclusive and self-evident, and nobody else has intervened with my own calculations, and that way it's impregnable.
What I think is awesome is real quick. I'm sorry. What I think is awesome is you going through this, right? Coming back here and sharing this, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that listen to this, right? And you're one of the guys that has come on here and has, argued with us about this with us, right? And I'm sure there are a lot of people who would listen to this and say, wow, okay, maybe there is something that doesn't make sense about this globe. And maybe listening to you being, that not only are you just like some random audience member just listening in the background, but you're one of the Globers that have come here. I mean, you have toe tags. So the fact that we're having this conversation after, something like you having a toe tag on this show, I think it's awesome for people to hear and see that. And it might give some people a little bit of hope, like, okay, maybe I can. Maybe there's something I'm missing that even one of these guys who was screamed on him can see, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, well, how
When
about
I watched that video, I'm listening to myself and I'm just like, what is wrong with this guy? You can hear Nathan going, just calm down, will you? Just calm down. And I'm just like, no, explain to me, acceleration. And I'm sitting there and it's not actually me. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, it's like looking at a complete different person. It's like this. I'm just in like fury mode because all I'm thinking is, I'm right, you're wrong. Just listen to me. I'm going to help you see that you're wrong. You know what I mean? But you're just like, calm down. Let's go through your own argument, but let's do it rationally. Let's do it scientifically. And I'm just like, no, just accept my bullshit.
Bro, two weeks ago, we were screaming at each other about a shadow on a mountain, right? Or a shadow on a cloud. Yeah. And look how far you've come. I mean, it's. I think it's awesome, man. You did great.
As I said, as a person, I think one of the capabilities is to unlearn what you learn and listen to other people. And because I go so drastic, I'm so extreme. I'll go for that part where I'm screaming, shouting, and I've been doing it for 3 years. And obviously talking to Mary Mum, and everything just kind of happened. And now I've kind of calmed down, reviewed my behavior in the past, reviewed what I've said, and really thought about what I've said. Actually question my life, and it takes a person to social rejection. It takes that you have to face social rejection. You have to face being wrong and being ridiculed and laughed at, and it takes being honest and taking your personal opinion about things and what you've been taught. You have to literally unlearn what you've learned and actually look at it with an open mind and actually really give it a chance. And I don't think people are doing that, but I do think people like Conspiracy Cats are probably bound to their job. He could never sit there and concede that these things because it looks bad for his educational. He's got a job to protect, hasn't he? So, and I think a lot of people's jobs are under jeopardy for it as well. So, there's a lot of things to factor in. But
Tommy,
Mr. Boltzmann distribution, Conspiracy Cats, you're a numpty dipshit. You're a little condescension. Well, I don't think you know what the second law is. You don't know what it is. You never did. I toe tagged your ass with it. You're an empty dipshit, sir. Freaking Mr. Pressurized is different from pressure. Let me ask you something. Can you have pressure without it being pressurized? Can I ask you that? Can you have pressurized without pressure?
The word pressure is contained within the word pressurized, right?
I'm stuck on that. It seems that they've gotten their asses handed to them with that dumb shit. Atmosphere isn't gas pressure, right? Atmospheric pressure isn't gas pressure. You guys finally realized after you got your asses handed to you by third graders at recess to switch the argument. Is it now pressurized is not pressure? Is that what it is now? I can't wait for the next friggin' logical jump. You dumbasses. Make it fools out of yourself. I'm sitting back here loving every second of it. Conspiracy Cats, Mr. Boltzmann distribution. I'll tell you what, bring that Boltzmann distribution up to me, and you'll see where that Boltzmann arrives at. You clown!
Just while we're on the topic, and I've got your blood boiling, is gaseous the same as gas? Just checking.
Jeez, there we go again with these numpty dipshits. Gas. No, it's solidus.
This is too funny, man. I swear.
No, Conspiracy Cats, you're a walking clusterfuck.
Pressure is a precious resource, John.
Yeah, right. Your Boltzmann distribution. You know what? You bring that shit. I'm going to sneak in one of these shows and compromise your dumb ass with Boltzmann. Fucking guy had to cut off his left ear and shit. Right? I'm going to compromise your ass. You better know about Boltzmann, son. I ain't even going to fucking mess with you. You're a numpty dipshit. Proven. Toe tag. You got a special wing on my channel. And we all remember when you first come out here, right? And it was pretty cordial because I thought you were pretty cool, man. There's no doubt about it. So what I did was he asked me for the proofs of the flat earth so he could debunk them. I gave them to him over Skype. I still got all these messages, by the way. Conspiracy Cats numpty. He goes, yeah, I'll try and take care of those in the next week or so. He couldn't get past the first one. In 2 months, he said, I can't do anything. I can't debunk this. You remember that? You ain't gonna say any of that to your little friggin' knuckle dragging cretin miscreants that follow your dumbass. You're a dumbass. You don't know what science is. You don't know what logic is. You don't even know what a mirage is. You clown show. You better stay in your little echo chambers, son, because if you come out, you're going to get eviscerated. Then I'm going to feed the rest of my wolf pups. Clown!
Oh,
that's all.
John, I'm glad you're here. Good morning, QE. How you doing?
Hold on, just 1 second, Adam. Hey, Dave. Good to have you.
Hey, good morning. I hear QE's had his breakfast already, so.
I didn't have breakfast yet, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah, we can tell.
Conspiracy cat right now.
Okay, everyone. Hold on.
John skinned that cat and then made slippers out of him.
Adam, go ahead. Adam, go ahead.
All right, cheers, mate. I'm going to have to shoot in a bit. John, I've been engaging on Twitter a little bit with a few folks, and it's quite hard to respond on Twitter concisely. So I thought I'd try and take this opportunity, and maybe Nathan could nip it out as a little toe tag for Twitter. I've had these baller guys chat. It's quite funny because I've been responding to them, and the first statement was, "Is this Riley?" No, and then it must be Nathan, with a couple of weak ad toms as well. So I pointed out it's neither, and I'm not chocolate saying either, and they've still not looked at my logo that says the Adam Meakin, but it's all a logic for you. But there you go. But what I've managed to do is get a response. I've put it in Ballbusters for them because we've been chatting a little bit, and I've just been trying to work with them, ease them through their pain a bit. And we got to Balls in a Shed. And I just wondered if you could get the pink letters out, because I did ask them to state a hypothesis, IV and DV, and I've got their responses, and I wondered if you could just formulate it for me.
Formulate? Who are you talking to? Is it just some random Twitter
This
person?
is Simon Green, Simon GR 4159486.
I'm looking at it right now. Who's Simon Green?
I have no idea who he is. He thinks I'm Nathan or Riley or somebody. But I just wonder if you could do that for me, because it'd be much more succinct to just maybe show him what he believes is his proof that Cavendish is a scientific experiment. I say he's provided me with the hypothesis, which I know you've not had.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You'll enjoy eating that. Can we measure gravitational constant? That's one hell of a hypothesis.
Wait, that's his hypothesis?
Yeah,
it's worse than that, chocolate, because it's following Adam pointing out about IV-DV relationships. So hypothesis, cam, spelt wrong. We measure gravitational constant. It's a cluster screw. Do you want to keep reading?
Oh my God,
He was reading it.
Yeah.
Ballbusters?
It's on screen.
I'll put it in the chat. All right. So the IV reads, so independent variable, large masses changed by placing them on both sides of the torsion bar. Dependent variable is the fact that attraction motion was detected in the two opposite direction once the larger masses were placed on different sides. Grow up. That's the final response to me. As he thinks he's just smashed it and proven that this is a scientific experiment, but I just don't know if the pink letters could come out, John.
So how does
They keep bringing up Cavendish.
Hold on, let's just pick this apart. The dependent variable is the phenomena you observe. It's the thing that you're studying and trying to figure out the cause of, right? So his dependent variable is phrased as a question as opposed to a naturally observed phenomenon.
But isn't he already
Sorry, I had to get up and
coming
go.
up with a
Your question. Sorry about that.
isn't he already coming up with a conclusion before he puts the DV in?
Right.
Right. How does he actually manipulate the independent variable?
Number one, hypotheses.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Arwin. You're putting
All
out.
right, thanks.
But your questions are rhetorical. What do you want? Great rhetorical
Well,
question.
I asked
Thank you.
the question, so and everybody just glances past it, and so I'm
It was
thinking that
rhetorical.
Google's cutting me out again. You know that.
Oh, and
we're
it wasn't
not.
rhetorical. It seemed like a
All right.
rhetorical.
Look, we all love you.
Well, then don't ignore me. Thanks.
Okay.
It's very, 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 very simple. Dependent variable falls between the masses, and you control the masses and the distance between them.
I do have a question for Adam.
Hey, just because
very
Rumpus has started talking,
easy.
can you not talk over him? I want to hear him. Go ahead, Rumpus.
Very easy. The independent variables of which you decide to, with any experiment, you decide to fix one of your various variables, because flat earthers don't accept that there are usually more than one cause to any effect. So the effect, the dependent variable is the force between the masses. Hold on. The force is the dependent variable. Hold on. And there are
Hold on.
three causes. Hold on. There are three causes, the two masses, and the distance between them. So you've got three causes, of which in an experiment you decide to fix one of them, and you have the other, fix two of them in that experiment, and then you can vary the masses. So you've got one independent variable, two controlled variables, and the dependent variable is the force.
Oh, this is Rumpus gravity.
You're a numpty. You proceeded over 100 years ago. It's not an experiment. You're a numpty dipshit.
It's an experiment. You don't know what you're talking
physical?
about. You've got three variables you can control.
What are the three
and
causes
you have
to
a
water
defect,
boiling
which is
at
the
sea
force.
level?
Very, very simple.
Okay,
the fact you don't
okay.
understand it's an experiment, I'm
We
afraid,
heard you.
just emphasises you're an idiot.
Okay, thank you. So, just a quick question. You said we've got three variables, right? So, are they three independent variables?
Well, sometimes it depends. In an experiment, you obviously try and restrict it to one independent variable and have two control variables in this particular case. But they normally, when you talk about three, you've got three causes. So you've got the option of fixing two with control variables and having one independent variable in the experiment that you vary. But normally they're also called, outside of an experiment, you could say that those three causes are independent of one another, and sometimes they're called independent variables. But in an experiment, you have one independent variable and you have control variables. So in the experiment, you decide to fix, say, one of the masses. In the experiment, you decide to fix one of the masses, and then you have the distance between them, and the other mass is fixed. And then your dependent variable is the force
Hold
between
on,
them.
there's lots of rumblings. I just needed a
Sounds
yes
like
or no.
science.
I just needed a yes or no.
Very simple.
Not as simple. You haven't answered my question.
Very
My
simple.
question was a closed question.
I have.
I'll try and repeat it. We'll see how I get on. So, you're saying there's three variables. Are they, yes or no, independent?
Not in an experiment, you only have one.
Not in an experiment. In Cavendish. You're now deflecting in the same way you deflected last time you didn't answer my question. It's a yes or no question. You're saying there's three variables. Maybe you don't understand what the word independent means. Do you need me to clarify what independent means for you? Maybe you don't understand, and now you're talking through me, Rumpus. I've let you tell us how we don't understand. Now I'm going to say the same ad hominem to you, that it seems clear you don't understand what the word independent means. You are clearly stupid, and now you're talking through me. What I am pointing out that Rumpus doesn't understand, he has to talk through me. Now, I tolerated him telling us that there was three variables, and now it's constant interruption from the fundy who doesn't like it being pointed out that he doesn't understand what the word independent means. So while I say that to you, just an ad hominem attack, you don't understand what independent means, you feel that I have to be talked through, right, Rumpus? Yeah, you are going to not
given up yet.
Right, it's descending into chaos, Rumpus. I'm going to give you another opportunity to not talk through me. Now, I tolerated you telling us that we don't understand. Now I'm just going to say it again. Hopefully you won't interrupt constantly. It seems clear, let's be nice and calm without interrupting each other, that you don't understand what so you are going to interrupt me. I'll try a third time, then I'll kick you out with absolute justification, because I'm very calm, not talking through you. I've let you have your piece. Bye-bye, Rumpus.
Shut up.
Bye-bye. Nobody else talk. Now, I've had to remove Rumpus temporarily by muting him. I've had no choice. He won't, after 3 occasions of being very calm and saying, I didn't interrupt you while you told us we didn't understand. Now you're going to tolerate or put your fingers in your ears. It's entirely up to you. Me, for the 4th time, with him on mute, because he has to be, gagged, because he can't help himself, this fundy religious tard. Now he's gagged. I'll try for the 4th time, hopefully not interrupted by my own side, laughing at how I've had to gag Rumpus. 4 attempts. You don't seem to understand what the word independent means, Rumpus. Now, maybe you'd like to address that, given that you've explained 3 times with obfuscation that these 3 variables are not independent if there's 3 of them. Go ahead, Rumpus. Oh, he stuck his fingers in his ears. For the audience's benefit, the moment I actually was given the opportunity to point out that he didn't understand what independent means, he stuck his fingers in his ears. Now, he talked through me on 3 separate occasions. The Rumpus is a coward. There's no other words for it. He wouldn't tolerate a reasonable discussion. He was allowed to ad hominem and tell us that we didn't understand. And when the same thing came his way, he had to interrupt it. And when he was gagged, he stuck his fingers in his ears because he's only going to play on his terms when the things he clearly doesn't understand, in this case, that would be the word independent. Like lone on its own, like you can't have 3 Lone Rangers. That's nonsense. You can't have 3 independent variables. They're not independent then. Now, either he doesn't understand that makes him a retard, or he understands that by declaring that there's no independence with 3 of anything, that demolishes his claim that Cavendish is a valid scientific experiment. It isn't. But he'll talk through me pointing out that he has a lack of comprehension when it comes to this word independent when describing 3 things. They're definitely not independent if there's 3 of them, but he had to talk through that. And when it was pointed out he didn't want to engage in debate, he's a coward. Needed to talk through this lack of comprehension being pointed out to him. But we have to tolerate him telling us that we don't understand these 3 non-independent variables. No, he had to interrupt that, didn't he? And wouldn't involve himself in an actual discussion about it. He stuck his fingers in his ears. They're still in his ears because he's a coward. Like all you glowbeds, if you can't just talk through the points that demolish your argument, then you're going to stick your fingers in your ears and run away? Like the Aussie guy and like Rumpus, you pathetic cowards. You're all cowards. He'll simultaneously tell us that we don't know how to debate, but Rumpus can't engage in an actual debate where I'm nice and calm explaining that he doesn't understand what independent means. The end of his argument, I might point out. But that's where he'll run away. Like a little bitch being beaten by me. Right, coward Rumpus? This still goes out to an audience with you on screen with your fingers in your ears, you pathetic coward. Doesn't mean you won't get berated for a public audience. Your Cavendish experiment's not an experiment, Rumpus. The fact that you're not listening to me tell you that 3 things don't make an independent variable doesn't change the fact that the audience knows you've been raped by me. With your fingers in your ears as I do it. Good for you. Bite the pillow, accept you haven't got an experiment. Gravity's not a force. It's not holding gas pressure here. You've got nothing but obfuscation. And I'll very calmly tell you that you don't understand what independent means, you moron. I'm done. Let chaos ensue.
I have a question. Maybe you can answer this. I have a question. It's irrelevant to independent variables. Is length physical? And if it's not physical, how can it do something?
Okay, I got out of that.
I have a question for Adam.
The sound of screaming children. Arvin sounds.
Well, let me try it again.
It's a horrible noise, isn't it? It's a horrible noise.
Let me try it again. She's quiet. I've got her quiet. I'm holding her, so she's quiet.
He's got a gag. It's
okay. Is that Clover?
You never had kids, you'll never understand.
Your baby is rumpusing.
One on the way.
Look, no children are being harmed or gagged. What? This is purely for humorous effect. Go ahead, Paul.
Whatever.
Okay, hold on. It's an important question. One of his independent variables is length, and if he said, the question I have is length physical, and if it's not physical, how can it do something that's not physical?
No, it's not physical. It's abstract. It's mathematics. It's just a description. But yes, your point's perfectly valid. His answer wouldn't ever come. He stuck his fingers in his ears a long time ago.
Oh, you don't have to be conscious to make an observation.
But does he still push the gravity down?
Is the point the Rumpus is trying to make here in that within any levels of causation, if you was to say take a fire, for example, you could look at certain things that would affect the fire. So available oxygen, amount of fuel and heat. Now, all 3 of those within any one individual experiment could be defined as the independent variable. And in another experiment where you kept 2 of the parameters the same
and varied the heat or varied the oxygen, then that same variable could be classed in a separate experiment if you kept the other two the same as the independent variable. Is that the point he's trying to make, but kind of using that bit of fact to kind of bullshit his way over the simple fact that Cavendish doesn't vary? Do you get my point? Is that what he's trying to get at there when he comes in with that rumpus? That, yes, of course, within causation, there are certain things that could be varied, but in an experiment, we have to keep those other variables fixed so that we can have a scientific determination of the one independent variable. We could then go and set another one up and keep it. Do you know what I mean? Does that make? Is that what he's getting at?
No, he's saying there's three causes. He's just saying there's three causes in the Cavendish non-experiment.
Well, that's just retarded then.
Just trying to reassert his pseudoscience. Always going back to that.
I have something to say on the matter. The first thing that anyone on their side has to do, the very first thing they have to do, is actually prove the existence of what they call mass. And I'll give some context to that. If you look at the definition for matter, the definition for density, the definition for volume, matter is claimed to be mass, right? Density is mass, volume is mass. Mass is like the main component in all three, because mass is an accumulation of matter. Density is also an accumulation of matter, and you need an accumulation of matter to have a volume, right? But if you look at the definition for weight, the only time you see mass in there will be mass times the g, okay? So all mass is a deflection. It separates all the things that actually do cause weight from a definition of weight. So weight is then left to be defined by this gravity, right? Gravity belief, okay? There is no such thing as mass. You remove mass from the equation, one second, you remove mass from the equation, and weight is defined by matter density. They must prove mass and then state the cause of weight. That's what has to happen. There is no Cavendish experiment. That was not an experiment. They must prove mass and then state the cause of weight and prove it.
Right.
Because
we've had, from Rumpus himself, we've had the formulation of the hypothesis in their vernacular as if mass, then mass attracts mass. And mass is undefined or used with equivocation.
Exactly. I mean, take mass out of it, and you're left with what? What causes weight? I recently have had let's say a video debate with Miles Davis and some other people, and the very question I asked, right, is the most important question. Why is steel heavier than wood when they're at equal volumes? And the only answer I could get, and Miles Davis stated it in a video, was density. Yeah. Why is wood heavier than helium? Density. So it's the density of matter that gives things weight. And this thing about weight being, then they try and infer that weight is a force kind of thing. But they try and infer it as a downward force. No. Helium is weight too, but helium goes up. So if weight is a force, then it's a force with a downward and upward vector. And what's the cause of weight? Matter density. There is no mass.
Yeah, but
there is no gravity. There is no buoyancy.
They're trying to equate it to inertial force.
Yeah, but you're spot on. It's just density. When you elaborate with a description, for example, when Armin describes relative density disequilibrium, you're describing two different densities and a disequilibrium that's been placed with one of the objects, which is presumably greater mass than the other, so it can descend through it. Well, that's a very descriptive thing that sums up how Mike's picked up and dropped, for example. But in the most concise description, it's one word. It's just density. That's it.
Exactly. I want to point out, you just said Mike's dropping and stuff. So that reminds me of Neil Smoking Grass Tyson, who very recently just came out with a video about how to weigh air, which I found kind of funny because I'm like, hey, are you guys listening to us, man? Because you're just rolling them out as we're talking about it. But anyway, so he's talking about weighing air, and I'll point out two things that he said that were kind of funny. First was he was describing how air and liquid are like fluids, and he said fluids will take the shape of their container. And I thought that was kind of funny because I was like, I know there's nowhere else in this video that you're going to assert that there's a container, but yet here you are describing the atmosphere as a fluid that takes the shape of its container. That's the funny thing I found with that. The second one, damn, what was the second one that he said? I fucking lost it. I don't remember the second point.
First thing he does to describe gas behaviour is to start citing liquids. Was the first noticeable thing I thought. Well, that's to describe how gases behave. I'm going to talk about a water tower full of liquid.
Yes. And they're talking about PSI and how you just cut it out, and that's how you weigh the PSI because it's a column of air and all this stuff.
Why don't they understand? How do they not understand that fluid dynamics is different? Liquid and gases are different. They're both fluids, but they're not liquids and gases. Two different things.
Because they need a false analogy to compare with a gas that's not obeying the laws of entropy. So they just describe it as a liquid or a fluid in this case. And if you push them on it, they'll tell you about hydrostatic equilibrium, something the gas is not. But the same applies to taking it one step further like Thunderfoot did and turn it into a solid. Forget liquid, let's just bypass it completely and turn it into bouncy balls.
Bouncy balls! And then I got the second part. So after that, he starts talking about how do you weigh a helium balloon. And he says, I mean, him and the guy that he's talking to, they're making jokes and stuff. And he says, well, if you put it in a vacuum, now you could weigh it. And I'm like, well, isn't this our entire point? Flat earthers have been saying that it's the relative density of the object and the medium. That relationship, that's what causes things to either go up or go down or do whatever it's going to do. And here he is actually basically saying that. He doesn't say, oh, it's because of the density, but every time they assert or invoke a vacuum chamber, what they're doing is...
there's something
every time...
I just wanted to say that this relative density argument. I just wanted to chime in this relative density. When you take something away from its equilibrium and it seeks its equilibrium, is the rate that it drops. People are subscribing gravity as a force is pulling these objects down, but couldn't that just be the uniform rate that denser objects seek their equilibrium?
Well, that's the whole point, right? Because they tell us that it's a force, but how do they go about to try to prove that force? By removing what? The medium. So
you have to remove the medium.
Every time they invoke a vacuum chamber is proving our point that you're going to have different motions with different objects because of the density relative to them and the medium that they're in. They prove our point every time they bring up a vacuum chamber. And I'm going to start reminding them of that.
Just out of interest, Chocolate, can you have a vacuum without a container?
No, sir.
So to make their example, just in case some smart ass in the comments says, oh, well, obviously if you can demonstrate that the gas go down in the vacuum chamber, then the gas would go down in the vacuum of the sky, I assume. But without a container, there can be no vacuum.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Well, there can't be any gas in the vacuum.
Right. The gas expands in all directions to fill the volume.
Thanks for this episode. I've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all later, Jeff.
But just saying in that same statement made there, then they are debunking orbits.
Yeah, many of their responses, Flatsoid, are actually demolishments of their own heliocentric religion worldview. It's amazing some of the rebuttals we get. For example, we wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon. That's Earth curve. That's a perfect example of them actually relinquishing their religious faith in a globe with rebuttals to our arguments. It's priceless. I'd like to see that, Chocolate. The Neil deGrasse, I like looking at I think he's a good magician. So there's going to be various different things that are planted in those statements that he's made. I'd like to pick it apart. It does seem fascinating. But it's very interesting to hear him declaring containment as a requirement.
Hey, speaking of a false analogy or bad analogy of, differential pressure that you can have it with a force, I dropped it into Master B. It's a gas centrifuge. And this is the Glover's argument yesterday on Discord showing how you can have gas pressure without a container. Look at it. You can.
Okay, I've got it. It's on screen.
I'm on my phone.
Yeah, it's on screen.
I'm not even looking at it. But isn't a centrifuge a container?
Yeah, it is chocolate. Yeah.
It's gonna be tough
okay.
to contain.
That wasn't hard.
That wasn't a very swift debunk, was it, Chocolate? So this is a demonstration of gas pressure without a container. It's a container, though, isn't it?
Well, and guess what? They also prove differential pressure. So you have a differential pressure inside of a container.
So this proves the notion that they try and refute us with, which is how you can have a gas pressure gradient without a sky vacuum, like that makes any sense. But they would challenge us in that discussion, red herring though it is, to demonstrate that you can have a gas pressure gradient within a container, because we have a gas pressure gradient. That's their response, right? Well, there you go. There you have it. There's gas pressure gradients in a container. But moreover, it doesn't address our point. How can you have gas pressure without a container? Not show me a container with a gas pressure gradient, because that's just going to verify the fact that we definitely need a container now, don't we? As shown in this example, pictorial though it may be.
Chocolate.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Hold on. Go on, Paul.
Follow it. I told him on the Discord, I was like, the more I think about this, I think what Zanuck just proved, it was Zanuck, by the way, that talked about the gas centrifuge. He actually proved concave Earth. And then, wait a minute, I started thinking about it. He's always talking about a bucket. So even in his own analogies, the bucket or the centrifuge, he's actually proved two supposedly conspiracy theories, concave Earth and bucket, which has a flat surface inside of it. So either way, he's just, I mean, I don't know, it was just so funny. I had to say that.
Yeah, their rebuttals, like with the relinquishment of the Earth curve that is the geometric horizon, their rebuttal to us declaring that we must have containment to have gas pressure here is to show us a gas pressure gradient in a container. Here you go. There's my rebuttal.
Yeah. Let me get this container bucket and swing it around my head. Let me get a container. I'm asking you to demonstrate it without a container. So you pick a container up and show me your fucking centrifugal force. I can't believe they do that. I used to do that. That was my favorite. Well, one of my arguments is to go to. When you're trying to explain the gravitational force holding the atmosphere down, and you go, get a bucket, swing it around your head, and I feel yourself, a container. The argument is, show me gas pressure without a container. Don't use a container. Oh my God, it is so funny.
Hold on, we could weigh gas. We have an atomic weigher now.
Not without a container. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!